Ní mór do marrá tá feibeanna láidre agam maidir leis an mBille seo. Ní dóigh go bhfuil góthain ama chun é a phlé, ní dótha go bhfuil an cúlra tucha ag an ara, go háirid ó híomh an túrascála feilsiú i 2017 leis an iarnreitheamh John L. Murray, agus go bhfuil cuid den scéal an seo ach níl an scéal omláin. Agus tá an scéal Harbheith tromcúiseach, agus an spin agus an propaganda atá úsáid ag an tíiseach, ag an tánaiste, ag chur anúil go bhfuil muidne ar an tíomh seo den teach in áid gathród, nach bhfuil muid sásta ar job i dhéanamh ó híomh reachtaíochta de is bréag a maithé, is corrigéal. Agus tá sé andeachar a bheith anseo ar an tíomh seo i ggéisteach leis an tíiseach agus ag an tánaiste, ag chur anúil go bhfuil drogel orna ar cuid job i dhéanamh. Minister, I really find it difficult as someone who practiced in law going back some time. I find it difficult to stand here today and last week and listen to the spin coming from government that we don't want to do our job here, that we prefer to make statements and not deal with legislation. That is so far removed from the truth that I have to put it on the record that it's appalling. It's appalling spin. So we're faced here with legislation, a bill, which is extremely difficult for anyone looking. I'm just giving a sample of the papers that TDs are expected to look at in relation to one piece of legislation, and I forget how many, maybe Deputy Pringle might tell me, is it 15 or something this week? I'm not sure what the figure is. And so in relation to this, thank you for your speech and thank you for the written speech. And I once again, you're being put in a spot which is very difficult, and I appreciate that. But this speech and the presentation, the draft, the brief to the committee, of which I'm not a member, so I'm reliant on the documents I get afterwards, utterly failed to mention the background to this. And actually, the man that's in prison and who's waiting on the outcome of his appeal in the civil action, I'm not even going to mention his name, because to me it's not relevant. What's relevant here is that the 2011 Act is not valid, because it's based on a directive that's not valid. And that the government know that for a very long time, and the EU know that for a very long time. So the directive was brought in back in 2006, and we took another few years to bring in the legislation in 2011. And then in 2014, that directive was found invalid because Digital Ireland, their precise name, took a case, and the court found that directive was invalid. So we have a piece of legislation that we're operating on that's based on a directive that has been found invalid. And we know that since 2014. And how do I know all of this? Because a review of the law on the retention of and access to communications data, Mr. Justice John L. Murray produced a very detailed report in April 17, and he set out the overview. There's almost 200 pages in it, a summary of the main recommendations and a postscript. And he was asked to examine the legislative framework, and he points out that the 2011 Communications Retention Act, that's what he was looking at. And the statutory framework. And what does he tell us that the statutory framework does? It establishes a form of mass surveillance of virtually the entire population of the state. So that framework of 2011, which the government is operating under still and making patchy amendments to it this week, that allows for the establishment, which has been establishment, of a form of mass surveillance of virtually the entire population of the state, involving the retention and storage of historical data other than the actual content. And he goes on to say it's just not a snapshot in time, but it gives a whole historical picture. The private information thus retained by the service providers is not a snapshot of information concerning a particular communication, but constitutes a historical record of all communication over a lengthy period, and so on and so on. And he talks about the anodyne term data, which means a lot more than what it would seem to me. And he goes on to point out many things in relation to lack of sufficient safeguards, lack of oversight. I haven't the time to go into it all. It's all here set out. That was April 2017. And significantly, nobody from the department has even referenced the report or pointed out what was said or what were the recommendations. And so even in the postscript, the judge goes so far as to say, as has been demonstrated, this is page 167, as has been demonstrated in the course of reviewing the provisions of the 2011 Act, the review has felt bound to conclude that many of the features of the data retention scheme established by the Act are precluded by EU law. And accordingly, it is recommended that consideration be given at that point to the extent that, if at all, statutory bodies should, as a matter of policy, continue to access retained communications, and so on. That was his postscript. In his summary and main recommendations, I counted up 43 paragraphs, most of them recommendations, highlighting what should be done, no reference to that. So then we have the EU judgment, and we have the European Court of Human Rights, and we have the UN. All of those bodies highlighting serious issues in relation to the mass retention of documents and the mass surveillance of people. So the question has to be asked, why are we acting now in this rushed manner as a result of the case that's pending, and we know the outcome of that really? Why wasn't action taken before this? We have the Library Service publishing their digest today, and we utterly depend on the digest when we're not on the committee. We utterly depend on them setting out, and they tell us they didn't have enough time. So then, on top of that, we're utterly dependent on the committee to do their work. And you see, it's significant that I haven't seen a single backbencher from the government coming in, either on or off that committee, and take the opportunity to discuss this very serious bill. That's significant. And on the Justice Committee, and I see that the chairperson wrote back to the Minister yourself on the, can't see the date, something of June, the 29th of June, I think, setting out, the 30th of June, setting out their serious concerns. The last concern was the importance of having a sunset clause, better consultation with stakeholders. It recommends that certain category of citizens should be given separate rights under the bill, for example, journalists. And that's serious, because that Murray report arose from the tapping, or the GSOC taking information from journalists under the 11 Act. And I have another case on my desk here, which the Court of Appeal finally saw sense in relation to what had happened in the District and the High Court in relation to a warrant to take a journalist's phone. So right up to today, we have guards and going into court seeking a warrant to take a phone without even outlining to the court that it's in connection with a journalist and their sources. So why am I saying that? Because quite clearly we have very good guards. Absolutely, we can't do without them. But we've seen over and over that any system, and the guard system, it's an institution just like this is, needs oversight, needs built-in protection. And that has been said repeatedly in different spheres. And it has been said repeatedly by the EU Court of Justice, the European Court of Human Rights, and as I said, the UN bodies. And so what we're doing now is having a bill that's piecemeal and inadequate. We have the Data Commissioner, the Data Commissioner Office highlighting their concerns. The most basic one, that a data protective impact assessment be carried out. Has it been carried out, Minister? Nobody seems to know, so we're making a presumption it hasn't. I don't have a copy of it, so I don't know where it is, and I'm being asked to comment and pass this bill. And then we have the Irish Council for Civil Liberties under pressure, highlighting for their concerns in relation to it, set out in a number of pages, again under extreme pressure. And so their main concerns, and they've kindly summarised it for us, the bill will permit rolling one-year renewable data retention, in effect indefinite retention. Now I realise that your amendments are improving the situation in that there was a 2-year retention period and a 1-year and different, and you're improving that with just 1 year. But that's a rolling retention, depending on the circumstances. The bill The bill fails to provide any definition of national security. So just complete discretion to any government to do what they want under the heading of national security. The bill fails to provide for protection of journalist sources, which is particularly significant given the background, as I said, to the Murray report and the recent case that ended up in the Court of Appeal. The bill fails to provide an adequate oversight mechanism. There's no judicial remedy for a breach of the powers in the bill. The bill attempts to retrospectively validate illegal data retention contrary to EU law. The bill attempts to interfere with the independence of the court and the data protection. Now, I could say a lot more, Minister, but what I really want to get out here are my concerns at the way that this has been forced through the Dáil, where the blame has been placed on the opposition as opposed to hands up. We know this for a very long time. We know that the directive was invalidated way back in 2014. We know from Justice Murray's report, the serious issues that should have been looked at then. And we know from the case law, we know from the Digital Rights Ireland case in Europe, and we know from the Tele2, which superseded that one. And we know from the other cases that have been mentioned. And so you're here today, Minister, with an inherited situation. But at some point, when you inherit a situation, you have to say, stop. We have to do this differently. Mass surveillance with no oversight, no protection on the books since 2011. No safeguards in relation to how that's retained, which country it's retained in. Has it been retained in Ireland, in England, in non-EU countries? What about the destruction of the data? What happens when the 2-year period was up? Absolutely nothing except one piece of oversight by a judge once a year retrospectively. Nothing else built in, and here we're building in some protection on a very, very limited basis and bringing in extraordinary penalties for the service providers, who I normally would be critical of, but in this situation, a difficult transition period for them with absolutely no concept of what they're facing. I'm over the time, Chair. Thank you for your indulgence. I won't go. Thank you.